Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How is everybody tonight?
Tonight is going to be a fun show. This is one of those shows that I'm going to present information to you, and I have no idea whether it's real or not. And I know that sounds absolutely nuts, but let me kind of try to make sense of this for you. Last week, we were talking about the comment section of videos and how sometimes you get a bunch of terrible things people are saying back and forth and a bunch of nonsense. But every once in a while, you get that diamond in the rough. You get that gem comment that is just fascinating. And it has a lot of really cool information in it. And it really makes you go in different directions with your research. It's kind of cool how God works. Because literally, as soon as I said that, as soon as we finished the show, within an hour or two, I checked the YouTube and there was a comment that was left on one of our old videos. Now, this comment was on a video that we had done a while ago on shadow people. I believe it was the complete guide to shadow people or something like that. But it was an episode that we had done of Staring into the Abyss on the radio that we had put on the YouTube channel. And this comment was left by a former Army Ranger who had some very interesting information about shadow people. Now, this information came from his own experiences for over a decade with shadow people. And it had a lot of not only interesting observations about their behavior and things that they do and what he thought about them, but also it had some techniques that he used in his own life to try to mitigate their effects, to try to help himself get through whatever was going on. Things that helped, things that didn't help, that kind of thing. And some of the stuff I had never even heard of before, which is fascinating. Now, from the top, I'm going to say unequivocally, I am not saying that the information contained in what I'm going to read you is 100% accurate. I'm also not going to say that it is not 100% accurate. I have absolutely no idea. Nothing in it really screams out to me as crazy or loco or anything like that. And if nothing else, it is an extremely interesting read, and it really makes you think a little bit and has some interesting new theories on what shadow people do, what they are, and how you can deal with them if they're in your own life. Because believe it or not, I've had many people that have messaged me that deal with shadow people in their own lives asking advice. So maybe something that I'm going to read you tonight from this gentleman's comment can help you out in your own situation. Maybe it won't. Maybe you'll just be entertained by it and it'll be a fun show to listen to. Either way, hat tip to this gentleman and hats off to this gentleman because this was a very interesting comment. And I enjoyed it so much that I thought I would like to share it with all of you. So without further ado, here we go. The gentleman's name was Matthew McPadden, and his comment states, first off, this video didn't bring it up, but it's worth consideration. And I think this says Slider, but it could be Soldier, because it's SL and what looks like a lowercase LDER, so I think it was like a typo or an autocorrect or something that was kind of weird. I have a higher electrical field naturally. Like watches only work days, appliances are always getting fried, lights getting dimmer around me when you're around, etc. Anyways, I first seen one in about my 20s. I'm 52 now. Before this whole shadow people thing, last 10 years or so ago, I see them like all the time. This is just a theory of mine, of course. I think that they feed on emotional energy, fear for instance, or something like that. I think that they inspire fear, or it's just a byproduct of seeing them. I have 10 years of experience with them, and I got to tell you though, beyond just ever slightly touching you from time to time, they are pretty benign. I have never been harmed physically outright by them even once. When they have touched me in a light sleep, it's been sore for a few hours, but that could be mental, so I discounted it. The all-impending death and paranoia from them is the most intense feeling I've ever felt, to include my 30-some years in the Army as a Ranger. It is misery if they find you, as a lack of a better word, quote, food source. I think that's the point. They just stare and take it all in, like us sitting at the dinner table eating. I know, stupid metaphor, but you get it. In my closet down the hall, on my balcony, etc., they were everywhere. They would even follow me around because I could hear their footsteps behind me. Is it scary as hell? Sure it is. That too is the point. Like wildlife, they go where the food and water is. That's us feeding them with strong and intense emotional energies. In all my many years of experience, they just look and lurk for the most part. That's it. Once I started ignoring them and stopped being terrified of them, they basically slowly but surely went away. They come around sometimes, but it's like they are checking up on me. Kinda like. I don't know. I think the reason they are around and stay around you is because human beings are, for the most part, emotionally charged beings on three things: fear, lust, and rage. We, of course, are rank with all three. Like I said, today I pay them not much mind, and I don't see them all that much anymore. When I do see them at night, I just say whatever, flip them off, and tell them to go away and roll over and go back to sleep. I get that it is absolutely terrifying to behold them. You have no idea. But once you get beyond that part, you can move on and take back your sanity. Tell you what though, after going through everything with them, I am afraid of nothing. Dead serious. Nothing scares me now. And in that, I thank them. They come in other colors too. I see mostly red and yellow in colors, but yeah, they are usually black or gray. No top hats, clocks, or dig on a leash, etc. Just a dark humanoid figure. The transient ones he talks about in his video, I call them shades. Like he says, they run around doing their own thing. Don't have a clue what they are doing. But long as they leave me alone, I do the same. They are totally harmless in my experience. Here are some weapons. Well, kinda. That help in defense with them. They are either hurt or dislike the color green, like green flashlights or laser pointers. Don't know why, but they are. I found out on accident when I bought one. That will usually send them packing. They are also susceptible to higher frequencies of sounds. I call it hitting them with the sonic. You can get dog attack devices or download high-frequency apps and then pump them through a Bluetooth speaker. Whoa, that works like a charm. But rotate the frequency often enough. They will get used to the certain range. In ranges mostly above our own is the best. You can't hear it, but if you got animals they can, and trust me, so can they. Have a safe white room. My bathroom has everything white in it. Absolutely no shadows whatsoever for it to work. The brightest lights you can buy as well. If it gets more than you can handle, head in there. Wow. They get really pissed when you go in there, so turn on the fan and take a break. I've had to sleep in there a few nights in 10 years. They have never ever followed me in there. Almost forgot. They are none too fond of cats as well. House cats, rather. Don't have just one either. They killed my first one cat when I left the military. Just woke up one morning and Snow was dead. Didn't see them do it, of course. She would track them, watch them, kind of like all the time, or just stare at them. She would run around chasing them. Didn't see them when she was, but it was clearly something I couldn't see, but she did. They would come into my bedroom at times, and she would do that low and high growling cat thing. Once again, a high frequency sound, I suppose. She would do it really loud at times, and would wake me up. She obviously hated them, and was very protective of me from them. After she died, I got 4 now. That helped a great deal. Just some added advice. Look, I know all this stuff seems crackpot crazy. I don't care what you think because I'm just trying to help, okay? I went through a really bad part of my life for almost a decade dealing with them. I got sick of it. And like in the service, I went on the offensive. Got effing sick and tired of it. I was a victim to them, and it had to stop. I've dealt with them for a long while, and you can either take my advice or you can leave it. It's up to you. I can't guarantee these will work for you either. It took me serious time and effort trying to figure these ones out. Good luck, and take care now. P.S. Shadow people can make shadows on the walls and stuff. That's always fun. Shadows making shadows. I know, crazy, huh? Well, if they're around you, you will learn things like that. Like I said, stop being a victim and change the narrative. And that is the end of the comment. Now, as I said, that was an extremely interesting comment to read because there was a few things in there that I hadn't heard of before. Now, there were things in there that he talked about that we also talked about on that episode. He talked about what I called the transient shadow people, the ones that are just kind of passing through. He talked about them. He talked about several things that we talked about in that episode. But some of the things like the high-pitched frequencies, very interesting that makes them go away. Another thing is the white room. That's extremely interesting as well. Of course, it would be impossible to ever have a room with absolutely no shadow if you had light in it, because just the fact that you are in the room would be casting a shadow somewhere. So you're always going to have some sort of shadow, but I get the basic point of it, is that you don't want to have a lot of objects with a bunch of different shadows being cast. You want it to be a mostly empty room that's completely white. I don't really understand why that would work, but I'm not saying it's not true. There's a lot about the paranormal that none of us really understand. And to me, that is the absolute beauty of this field. This is why I have been involved in the paranormal and have studied and loved this stuff since I was a child, is because I love those unsolved mysteries. I love not knowing everything there is about a subject. Yes, if you're a longtime listener, you know that drives me absolutely crazy as well. I can't stand that I don't have the answers. That's what drives me to research and try to find those answers. But I also love the fact that we don't have all the answers because it presents such a challenge. And I love that challenge. I'm the kind of person that always needs a mountain to climb. Once I reach the top of that mountain, I get extremely bored and I move on to something completely different. Once I reach the top of that mountain, I will once again become bored and I move on to something different. That's why I've done so many amazing things in my life. I hold a master rank. I ran a self-defense school. I reached the top of that as far as I could go and became fairly successful at it and got bored. I was a musician for a long portion of my life, and I went through the struggle of playing in local clubs and then finally getting on the radio and doing something with it. And then once I reached a level where I considered myself fairly successful, I got bored. I always wanted to be a writer. I have that God-given gift to write amazing novels. I put out 4 that were on the bestseller list. I got a little burnt out, and so I moved on to something else for a while. Now, I'm sure that I am going back to writing at some point because I'm halfway through, or a little bit better than halfway through, a novel as we speak right now. So I write off and on to this day. But when I first started writing, it was 12 to 18 hours a day, every single day. I mean, I put out 4 novels that were over 400 pages apiece in 2 years. I was writing at a frantic pace, but once I reached a level of success that I considered successful, I got bored and I moved on. Started doing radio and all this, and we're doing fairly well on the radio. But the great thing about the paranormal field is it'll take a lifetime for me to get bored of this because there's always answers that I don't have. There's always questions that I've got to research to find the answer to. There's always things that show up and things that happen that I can't explain. So the quote-unquote mountain climber in me has to keep trying to climb that mountain. I have to reach that peak of that mountain. I have to somehow find the answers to all these questions that bothered me before I can move on. And not meaning to toot my own horn, because I'm not a guy that brags a lot. I just tell you how it is. I'm very good at what I do. I'm a very good researcher, and I'm extremely intelligent. I find a lot of answers. But I don't think I'll ever find all the answers. I just don't think it's possible. I don't care who you are. Can you find some answers? Yes, there are answers out there to find. We find new answers every day. But I don't think I'll ever find all the answers. And that's one of the things about this particular comment that I loved so much, is there were things in this comment I had not even considered before. much less had the answer to. Like, I can't tell you why green light would work on these things. I have no idea. But it's brilliant just to think of the idea that maybe it's true. That gives us a whole nother avenue to research, a whole nother road to go down to find out if it is true. Why is it true? What about it causes them to flee? If you can figure out that answer, isolate it, isolate the cause of them running away from it, then you can create ways to protect yourself. It's brilliant. I love it. I absolutely love this. So once again, as I said, much respect, hat tip to this gentleman, not only for your service to our great nation, thank you, sir, for that, but also for firing my brain up, getting my mind active and awake and in love with this subject again. That is brilliant, and I love these ideas. I love this comment. I loved everything about it. And you can probably tell I'm a little excited right now about it because I have all kinds of different things to look into now that I hadn't even considered before. And that, it just makes me smile, to be honest with you. I absolutely love that. So what I'm going to do is I want to throw over to Old Boy for a while and get his opinion on what this gentleman had said, any of his ideas on it, and then maybe we'll kind of go back and forth a little bit and discuss some things. So Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Matthew, for your service. And thank you for the 30 years you were a Ranger in the Army. This was really good because this is something new. Do I believe in shadow people? Yes, I do. We've done a couple shows about them before, and the man with the black hat. It gives an interesting new theory on things. Here's my opinion. Do I think 100% of it is correct? I don't know. I'm not going to say he's lying or he's not. He doesn't seem like he is. He sounds like he's genuine. The only problem is shadow people can come out in the light. And I've seen them myself. So them being in the shadow isn't 100% always going to be at night. See, that's a misconception. I've seen them in the daytime. So I don't know if it's really the light or the darkness is going to make a difference. I do think they can manipulate themselves in the night, in shadows. Like, that makes sense. I think that's true, and they probably like to play tricks with you with the shadows. They can turn into a shadow, and you don't even know they're there. They probably are there, and they like to mess with people. But there's also some that kill people. There are some that I think they steal energy. The man with a black hat, when you see him, he can steal. I think he can. There's different levels of these things. I believe that he's figured something out, though, with the green light. Maybe something they don't like with the green, the Keller. I don't know. Maybe it's something they just can't. Maybe they can't do a shadow with that Keller of the green. You know, maybe I'm just giving you ideas or maybe opinions of what I think might be going on here. That's really different. Cats, no surprise. Cats have a sixth sense. They could see something. My cat sees them all the time. She is really annoying for some reason. When we do the show, it doesn't matter what time it is. It could be in the day. She has to bother me as it is. But at night, she is running around here like a herd of buffalo. But we'll see her looking in the corners all the time, and like she's chasing something. She and I know she protects us because she loves us, but animals have another sense. There's something here. I already seen them numerous times. I've used ghost equipment in my house, and there's stuff here. At night, they like to watch me. I've seen them in my own room. I believe this guy about 90% of what he's saying. Now, the whole light and the dark thing doesn't really make no sense because I've seen these things in the light. I think they're more powerful at night because, think about it, the shadows, there's more darkness out. I think there is something with that. I think they thrive at night because they can get more shadows. In the daytime or in the house is all lit up, and he makes a point with a white room. If it's all lit, there's not enough shadow in there. So they don't. I think they're weakest when they're in the light. But I've seen them in the light, so I don't think it. I think they're just more powerful, and this is just my opinion at night. And I think there might be something with that. We don't know yet. Maybe, James, that's another one I can give you. I don't know if you ever thought about that idea, going on with what this guy says. I'm really thankful he did this because I always love it when a fan, and this is from an older episode, has a great diamond out of the rough, throws us a curveball, and then we get to make a show out of it. That's great because it's just, we can talk about it just like we are right now. And I'm really excited he did. Like I said, thank you, Matthew. And some of the stuff that he said, it's familiar because I've dealt with. And like James said, he loves doing this just like me. This makes me happy too because I get to talk about something that I really like. I believe in shadow, and I've dealt with in my life with shadow people. And the man in the black hat, I also think he's a shadow person, but I think he's higher in the hierarchy. I think there's different levels of them. There's some that can hurt you. There's some that just watch you. There's some that can make you have misfortune. There's some that can just torture you. So I just think they're a whole different level of evil. There's some that they don't even care they're there. They're just going to watch you. I don't know what that's about. There's some that I think that lurk, and I think they just want to watch you. Not that they want to hurt you, because I think there's different levels of them. They just like to watch and see what's going on. And I see what they can instigate or what kind of, I think they suck energy out of us. And that's what my opinion has always been with them. I don't think all of them. I think some of them also just like they're interested in what we're doing. I mean, think about it. You look at it, you got these things, they're watching what we're doing. They're doing stuff, we're watching them, and they watch us. Look at these humans, they're sitting here watching TV. So if I can mess with them, maybe I can move something, or, you always have that feeling that something's, you always see a shadow, and I see that all the time. Like, you'll see a shadow run across you guys. You ever have that feeling? You write me down in the comments if you guys ever think about that. You ever watch TV at night, even in the day, and you feel like something, something's watching you, or you can see something move, and you just think, it's nothing. Maybe it's a cat. Maybe you have a cat or a dog or something. And you think, maybe it was a cat running by, but then it probably wasn't, because cat's not that big. Just tell me what you guys think. What do you think about this guy's opinion? And tell me if you have a story of your own we can do another show about. Or, if you had any problems with shadow people or any crypto or any kind of ghost or demons or anything. But please remember, don't just tell us 10,000 of you guys say something, because it's going to be hard to pick one, and then we have a whole bunch of people we have to go through and see if they're real, or we have to make sure they're legit. And I'm not saying this guy's 100% legit, but it's great he came out of this. I'm going to say I probably believe this guy. I think that he's probably telling the truth, and he found a way to ignore them. And that's cool altogether, because I've done it. I know how to ignore them. You just can't. You have to do it in your own way. There's some people who are not going to be able to do what he's doing. He learned how to dedicate himself not to worry about these people, train himself to not worry about the shadow people around him. If they're there, like he said, he'd flip them off, go back to sleep, or tell them to go to hell. I do the same thing. Some people can't handle it. Some people are not as in tune or as strong. And that happens. Some people don't know how to do it. There's some of these things are even worse than what you think. They could be pretending they're shadow people. They could be all something else. There's all kinds of things that go bump at night. Remember that. You don't know what it is. It could be a shadow person. It could be a demon. It could be a wraith. It could be the man with a hat. It could be one of the fallen. That doesn't usually happen unless there's an important reason. And I think the fallen only come because I think that people bring the fallen into them. I don't think it's just like a demon possessing somebody. Here's what I think about that. If you get one of the fallen angels, that's what I'm trying to say. I think that you conjure them and you invite them in. See, there's a difference, because when you're inviting something in, you can't get rid of it. I don't care who you are. There's parts that you cannot. If you're inviting something into you and you want it there, you could do many exorcism you want. It's never going anywhere because the person wants it there. So it's on to somebody who didn't want it in them. It's a whole different story. But there's actually people who want this stuff, and there's some people who have it following them, or cursed by them, or they are conjured it up themselves. Remember that, guys. Like you said, you never really know a person and what they really think. That's the crazy thing. You might think you've known somebody for 20, 30, 40 years, and come to one day they could be the worst person you ever met. They have all these secrets that you never knew. It just happens. Great example was like the Iceman killer. Not to bring him up, and this has nothing to do with that. That guy was one of the worst killers for the mafia. No one knew for over 20 years. His wife said he was a regular guy. Christmas, you would never know. A great neighbor. he was one of the worst killers ever known. You never know who people really are or what they're really messing with and what their true intentions are. There's a lot of people who like this stuff to be around them. They feed off the energy. And I think there's some things that just like to feed off of our energy. They like negativity, like anger and rage and hate and chaos. And they thrive. Isn't it kind of funny? Most of these people never have anything going on. You never hear anybody who has normal, happy lives. It's always somebody that's been abused or drinking or family issues. This stuff I think what it does, it instigates you to do things. But then you have these other things that just like to watch and maybe feed off the negativity. Somebody told me this one time, they feed off of us and everything we do. And that's why they're around. And they like to mess with us and screw with us and see how far they can push us and see what they can get us to do. So remember that. When you're least expecting it during the day or at night, when you're sleeping or when you're watching TV and the lights are off and you see shadows, maybe it isn't from the TV or your cat or your animal, maybe it's them watching you. And they're just seeing what you are doing or how they can get to you. So remember that, guys, when you're at home, and I know a lot of you guys believe in this stuff, most of you. There's probably a few people who in and out or don't know what to believe, or there's some people who don't believe, think we're crazy and just likes to listen to our show. Well, that's good. Glad, keep them coming. We don't care. As long as you enjoy the show, that's all that matters. You believe or you don't believe. As long as you enjoy what we do, we're doing our job. So that's what I want you guys to think about. When you're at, if you guys have any kind of issues with shadow people or demons or any kind of dark entities or hat person, but mostly shadow people. Let's try to keep it to that. Let us know what your experiences have been, and maybe we could talk about it on another show in the future for you guys. And you seem like to enjoy this one, the shadow people, because I enjoy it. I just always have. They're interesting, and this is like one of the best parts I like about paranormal because it's something different. And these things, a lot of people don't really know too much about. It's just been talked about for the last 20-something years, probably the last 15, 20 years. It's got real popular the last 10. It's something I like and enjoy. Just there's a lot of things out there, and this is one, and I don't know what they exactly are. So thank you, Matthew, for this. I appreciate it. We love you for your service in the military. And there you go, James. That's what I think, brother.
The neurons and the synapses in my brain, man, they're firing on all cylinders right now. I want to try, and I don't have this figured out yet, okay? But I want to try to kind of walk through this in my own mind with all of you listening right now. Because I'm thinking about the science of it, of how this stuff works, how the green light can work, how the white room can work, how the different high frequencies can work. I think it's all energy, man. It's all vibration. And you might say, well, that doesn't make any damn sense, James. You're talking about colors here, bro. You're talking about light. You're talking about sound. What the hell does all that have in common? What does that even mean? It's all vibration. It's all energy. Everything's energy. All light, when it hits your eye, is the same. What makes us see the color is the velocity of the vibration of the light. So, like 186,000 miles a second is white light. Okay, 140,000 miles a second is like your violets, your indigos, blues, green, yellow, orange, red to black, that kind of thing. The different velocity of the vibration of that light is what causes us to see it as different colors. Okay, what is sound? Sound is the vibration of the energy also. I'm seeing a connection here. Maybe the reason that the high frequency works and the reason that the green and the white, the green light and the white room works, maybe that's connected. Maybe it all has to do with the frequency, the certain vibration of the energy. Maybe that level of vibration causes some kind of disturbance to the shadow person, and it causes them pain or discomfort or whatever, and causes them to bail out. So anything over 140,000 miles a second of vibration, maybe that would cause it, because the green light, right, would fall under that. It would be 140,000 miles a second. or better to make that color. The white room would be 186,000 miles a second vibration to make white. So anything above the 140,000 miles a second worth of vibration, maybe that's the answer. Now, how does that exactly apply? How does that physically harm the shadow person? I don't know. I would have to have much more data. I would have to be able to experiment on shadow people to figure out why it works and how it works and if that theory is even correct. But that hypothesis seems to make sense to me. There has to be something that connects those things. And when you break down the science of it and you realize that color is vibration the same way sound is vibration, the higher the frequency, the faster it's vibrating, makes sense. So a higher frequency is going to have more vibrations per second, the same as the colors do. It kind of ties together. I think that I'm onto something there. I think that the answer to why those two things work for this gentleman lies within the vibration of the energy. It's the kernel, it's the beginning of finding that answer, is understanding that fundamental truth. If that is correct, that is the reason. Now, how does it apply to the shadow person? What does it cause to happen in the shadow person that makes it go? Is it pain? Does it disrupt their ability to materialize and manifest themselves? I don't know. It would definitely be something to look into further and try to figure out. That's not something I'm going to be able to do off the top of my head on the show. That's going to require probably months, if not years, of research and trial and error, messing with things, trying to create something that could cause the effect we're trying to get. It's going to be a difficult process, but I think that it's a beginning. So all of you engineering nerds out there, all you people that are absolute geniuses at engineering and are interested in the paranormal, especially shadow people, there's an idea for you. Get to work on that. You can easily create something that will generate high frequency waveforms. It can be done. That's something you can work on to try to experiment with. Create a device that will be able to repel them. Almost like one of those sonic mouse traps that you plug into the wall and emits a high frequency to drive mice away. That might be already created for you. That might very well work to keep your home free of shadow people. Because if the link is a high frequency, makes them drive away, that very well might be your answer right there. So one suggestion, if you are a person that is plagued with shadow people and they're bothering you all the time, try that. Go pick yourself up one of those electronic mouse deterrent things that you plug into the wall that emits a high frequency sound and plug it up and see if it makes any difference. And if you do that experiment at home and you're somebody that has been plagued with these things and it works, let me know down in the comments. Or if it doesn't work, let me know as well. Because all of that is going to be data that's going to help to evolve the theory and help to figure out what will drive them away. You can see now why I was so excited about this comment in the beginning of the show, because that's a whole nother road to go down that can actually not just be something that you can call somebody in to do if things get out of hand, but literally can work as a preemptive measure to keep shadow people from coming to your home, if the theory is correct, which could be absolutely huge. It's a brilliant idea. Another thing, Old Boy mentioned, and the gentleman Matthew also mentioned, that they both think that these things feed on your misery and pain and all that kind of stuff. And I agree. We said that in the original show that we did, the complete guide, I think it was, to shadow people. We talked a great deal about that. The reason why I believe that some of these shadow people will be seen and hang around sites that tragedies are about to occur is because of that very fact. I think that's 100% true. I think that they do feed off of our misery, our sadness, our pain, our negative emotions. Now, could that be a clue to what these things are? Could these things be demonic presences that are manifesting themselves as shadows? That would make sense if they feed off of negative energy and pain and suffering. At the very least, they're probably, most of them, malevolent spirits of some sort. We have reports and stories, and we've talked about this on other shows, of these things actually possessing people and causing them to walk into the river and drown themselves. That was a very interesting case that we talked about. What else can possess you? Demons are perfectly capable of possession. There are other things that can control you as well, but that's another thing that kind of fits to start to try to piece the puzzle together. Now, do I think that every single shadow person is a demonic entity? No, probably not. And the reason I say that is because there's so many different kinds of shadow people. There's so many different ones. He talked in the comment about having a shadow person that would wake him up while he was sleeping and being sore for an hour or two. But he thought that might be all in his mind, so he discounted it. Well, we talked about on the Complete Guide to Shadow People episode about a lot of reports from people that these things will lay down on their chest and they can't breathe. And they wake up with these things right in their face and they're hurting them. So that makes sense. Now, the ones that do that, I believe, are demonic entities. Those shadow people are demonic, and they are intent on hurting you. I think this gentleman is very lucky that all it has done is cause a little bit of pain for a couple hours, and then it goes away. That's great. I mean, it's not great, it sucks. It would be better if it didn't hurt him at all. But it's a lot better than what a lot of other people have reported in those same kind of circumstances. You have some that we called transient, and that he called, I believe he said, shades, that just kind of wander through and don't pay you no attention at all. They could give a damn what you're doing. They don't care about you at all. They just are passing through. You have some that hang out at the sites of tragedies in very, very large numbers, and then hang around for a day or two after the event happens, and then they go away. There's all kinds of different shadow people. So do I believe every single one of those are demonic? No. Do I believe that some of them are demonic? Yes. I honestly do believe that. I think the ones that hurt you are, and I think maybe the ones that are hanging out at the sites of tragedies to feed off of that sorrow and misery probably are. Some of the other ones could just be regular old spirits. One of the ways a spirit can manifest itself is as a shadow. So some of them, especially the ones that are just kind of passing through, that don't really care what you're doing, a lot of those might just be normal spirits. Notice I said might, because it's not an exact science. We don't have empirical data that we can point to say this is absolutely the truth, this is absolutely what it is. All you can do is take all of the reports and all the information that you have and kind of do a best guess, an educated guess on your knowledge, your experience, and what all the reports say. This is a subject that is extremely interesting, and it's also challenging because you have, as I said before, many different kinds. So when you're dealing with something that changes like that, depending on what type you're talking about, it presents a massive problem for trying to do any kind of generalizing of characteristics or behaviors or anything like that, because it changes depending on which type of shadow person you're talking about, as I'm sure you can all easily understand. So my opinions on the comment itself was, obviously, I've said it many times, interesting. Very cool comment. Do I believe that this guy is telling the truth, or do I believe he's full of baloney? I believe 100% that he's telling the truth. Is he 100% right on everything he says? Probably not. But that's no knock on the gentleman. I don't think that he's lying about anything. I don't think any of us are 100% right on what we're saying about these things, because there's just no way to really know for sure. So the law of odds and averages tells you you're probably going to be wrong about something somewhere along the line. Has he made some very key discoveries? Absolutely. I would say 100% absolutely that. Because just bringing to our attention the fact that the green light works, and that the white room works, and that high frequency works to drive these things away, and his own experiences. When you break that down, as I mentioned when I came back on, you realize it all has to do with vibration. It all has to do with energy. It all makes sense. It all ties in together. I don't think that's an accident. I don't think that this guy sat down and studied physics and studied the scientific principles of energy and color and sound and all this stuff and got such a great understanding of it that he could make this convoluted connection between these three things to put on a comment on a YouTube video. It makes absolutely no sense that he would make that up. So if he didn't do all that studying and understand all the science of it like I do, that means that somehow he was able to, by pure luck, come up with three different things that would work that will actually scientifically tie in together and have a sound reasoning behind why they might work. I don't buy that either. I don't think there's any way that he could just be lucky enough to throw those three things together if they weren't true. So do I believe he's telling the truth? Yes, 100%. Do I think that he's right about a lot of things he said in his comment? That depends on whether the stuff actually works. As I said before, I don't see how he could have made those three things up and it all fits together the way it does. I grew up in the military. I spent most of my life on bases. I've been to the Pentagon multiple times. My dad retired out of the Pentagon. I can tell you they're not teaching Army Rangers advanced principles of energy and of physics and the different vibrational levels of colors and all those things. That's not in tech school. When you go in through boot camp and you go to tech school, they're not teaching you that stuff. You don't need that information to do the job that a Ranger does. So I don't think that he would have that background in the science of it to be able to make that up. It just makes no sense. So 100%, 1,000%, I believe this gentleman is telling us the truth. And once again, I thank him for his comment because it produced a very cool, very interesting show. And just the fact that he shared those discoveries that he made and that experience, and we were able to broadcast it on this show, which goes out worldwide, and who knows who is listening. We have a lot of big name people that listen to this show. Okay, once again, not tooting my own horn. I don't care about all that crap. Reason I say that is because there are people that are big names in the field. There are scientists that listen to our show. People that have a much better understanding than I do of all the physics and all that of it. There are people that have decade after decade after decade of hardcore paranormal research under their belt. There are people that can take this information that we have presented tonight that came from this gentleman and turn it into something, a device that can actually help. They can create a theory, an overarching theory of why this stuff works with a nugget that I've already figured out and completely revolutionize what we know about shadow people. That potential is there. We have brilliant people in our audience that listen. That's what might come from this. Now, it might not. It might not. There's always a chance that this guy is telling us this and we tell everybody and nobody does anything. That's always a possibility. But the potential for something absolutely amazing to happen because of this is very high. And so for that, once again, thank you. And I truly, truly enjoyed this episode. And it will not end here. I'm not going to stop looking into this here. It's going to continue on. We will continue looking into this. I will continue researching this. And I am positive that after this show airs on the radio and is played all over the world, that we will have people messaging us and emailing us and commenting about their own experiences and giving different theories and different information on what this gentleman has said that will move this ball right on down the road. So it's an absolute wonderful, wonderful thing that has happened here. I greatly appreciate it. And please, if you're listening right now on the radio or if you're watching this on YouTube, you have information. Okay, if you have had paranormal experiences, tell those stories in the comment section of the shows, because you never know where that's going to lead. You never know what little bit of information that you have that you might not even think anything of. You might not even think it's that big of a deal or that it's significant at all. But it could lead to something truly great if that information gets in the right people's hands. So please share your experiences. We greatly appreciate you doing it, and we love reading them. And if it's good enough and it's interesting, who knows? You might have an episode of Staring into the Abyss all about your experience one day. So with that being said, I want to throw back over to Old Boy to get his final sum up and then his shout outs.
And thank you, brother. I want to thank you, Matthew, for giving us this awesome new show we could do on about shadow people. Plus, it's so fun to do that anyway. And plus, we get to think about what they are and get another theory about what's going on and what they do and how they work. And James got to use his mind, and he loves using his mind, guys. Just remember that. He loves to be challenged, and this was a challenge for him. So he really enjoyed this whole thing. So thank you, Matthew, for telling us about your experiences, and thank you for your service in the military again. Anybody else has any more experience wants to tell us, let us know on the comments, like we've said before. So thank you. I want to thank everybody on Parax Radio for listening to us every Sunday. Technically in the West Coast it's Sunday, but on the East Coast it is technically Monday morning. So thank you guys. I love you guys. If you want to listen to any of our other shows, go to James Hershey's YouTube page and subscribe. James Hershey Jr. You can listen to all our old shows and new shows, and even this one in a couple days. It should be out. It plays on Friday. I mean, not Friday. It plays on Sunday. Excuse me. And it'll probably be out in a day or two after that. So check us out. If you want any merchandise, he'll tell you where to go. Shirts, cups, blankets, the whole shebang. Check it out, guys. Anything you want made special, let us know, and we'll try to make it for you. Want something autographed? We'll try to autograph it for you. So just let us know that, and then we'll be happy to help you guys. You want something made special, has nothing to do with it, we'll do it. You're gonna pay the money, that's on you. But just saying, guys, just being funny. But I love you guys. Thank you for letting us do this show. I enjoy every week. Trust me, guys, and it's getting better every weekend. We get to do something new. I enjoy every minute of it. I really enjoy doing this show. I always have for the last I think it's been over 3 years now. We've been doing this with Staring into the Abyss. I think it's about 3 years and almost a little bit over 3 years and 3 months now since we've been doing. Technically, we were doing this back in December of that year, but we didn't change the name for about a month or two over. So we've actually been doing the show for almost 3.5 years, but it was something different for a couple months. So then we changed it to Staring. But I hope you guys have been enjoying us. I think this is going to be our 3rd year. I think in July on ParaX, I think it is. It's going to be our 3rd year. And so it's going to be awesome. 3-year anniversary. So thank you guys. I hope you have a great night. Misfits, sugar ladies, monster hunters, and demon lovers, I love you. Blessed be, and have a great night, guys.
Staring into the Abyss is a very special show. Now, there's many reasons why I say that. First of all, let's look at the two of us, me and Old Boy. Here you have something that you just don't find anywhere else. Old Boy has a background in the medical field. He is a Wiccan. He has run covens before. He knows a great deal about magic and about rituals and about all those kind of things. I am a Christian who is very knowledgeable on the Bible, on the Book of Enoch, on all kinds of different things like that. I also have a very strong background in science and in history. So there's a lot of expertise there on both sides. But you also get the viewpoint of a devout Christian and of a pagan, a Wiccan, on each subject we do, which is another thing that's pretty much unheard of. Now, as special as that is, and as amazing as that can be, what also makes Staring such a special show is that this is not a show where I am the star and Old Boy is the star and you are just listeners and nobody gives a damn what you think. This isn't that kind of show at all. We are all on the same team here. That's what makes this show so special. Our audience contains such knowledgeable people. I've gotten emails and messages and letters from scientists that are working on projects you can't even imagine. Top level people that are so knowledgeable on so many different things, it's just crazy. We have heavyweights in the paranormal field that listen on a regular basis that can chime in with their amazing experience and knowledge. We're all one big family here. Every single one of you that can hear my voice right now, you are part of this show. You are part of our family here. Your knowledge goes into the pot with all of our knowledge. And together, we can all find some of these answers. And we've been very successful at doing that. At finding a lot of these answers in the paranormal field that people have been trying to figure out for a long time. That's a special, special thing. Now, I'm not taking credit for that. Old Boy's not taking credit for that. That's a joint effort between all of us. And that's a beautiful thing. And for the most part, even down in the comment section, for the most part, all of you are working together with us to try to move this train on down the tracks, which is beautiful, man. I can't tell you how amazing that is to me. Because in a lot of the rest of the paranormal field, you have a lot of backbiting and backstabbing and bitching and moaning and griping and cussing and just crazy carrying on. But you don't find that here. And that's a blessing. That truly is a blessing. So before I do the shameless plugs and all that, I just want to pass on from the bottom of my heart how much we value you and we appreciate each and every one of you that listen. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for letting us spend this hour with you each week. Because it's a lot more than us just entertaining you. I hope that we do entertain you because that's our job. But I also hope that you get something more out of this show than just being entertained. And I want to let you know that it's a give and take between us because we get a lot from you as well. You give us a lot of encouragement. You give us a lot of information that helps us along our journey. And I greatly appreciate that. So with that being said, it's time to pay the bills. Shameless plug time. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's where you can find all the episodes of Staring. You can also find all the episodes of Tales from the Abyss, the TV show that we do. We also do a bunch of other paranormal videos where we present articles from the news that are talking about paranormal subjects and things like that. There's a ton of cool stuff there, hundreds of videos, 100% free. Please go and subscribe to the channel and enjoy it. The merchandise store, if you're into merch and you want to support the channel, is teespring.com/stores/staring into the abyss. That's teespring.com/stores with an S on the end /staring into the abyss. That's where all the merch is. You got t-shirts, you got hoodies, you got leggings, you got posters, pillows, cell phone cases, coffee mugs, etc. There's a ton of stuff there. You have the main Staring logo, which is the one you're looking at on the screen right now if you're watching on YouTube, the Staring Eye. That is there. You also have a ton of different designs and horror-themed stuff and all kinds of cool stuff that we've come up with that we've put on all kinds of stuff. So if you're into merch and that's your thing and you want to support the show, that's a great way to do so. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for all your support. And until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.